Well, welcome back. We are the Three Gigs, three guys in glasses, and we're here to talk about experience that we have had over the cumulative last 60 years between us, maybe more, of scar tissue, we call it. So these are just definitions today, the difference between horizontal and vertical construction. And it seems pretty self-explanatory, but it's actually fairly complex. So.
And I'm Paul. I'll be representing the subcontracting community.
I'm Craig. I'm going to play owner.
And I'm Jim, and I'm the general contractor typically.
Yeah, so let's explore the difference between vertical and horizontal builders. So vertical is obvious, right? That's the builder who comes in and builds the building up out of the ground. So everything from concrete, framing, all your trades, electrical, plumbing, HVAC, all of those kinds of contractors associated with building the building, all the finishes associated with it, and so on. Horizontal builders are those builders that provide the infrastructure upon which we would build that vertical building. So those trades would be graders, underground utilities, both wet and dry, so water, sewer, storm drain, cabling, electrical, everything that's under the ground. All of your parking lots, not necessarily anything that goes up, that might be considered vertical, but parking lots, roads, like you said, sidewalks, curbs, gutters, and so forth.
Like dealing with the local public utility provider to get the electrical to the site so a building can be built there.
Exactly. And so
like
in that respect, we're also going to have a little division in that horizontal contractor. If you're working on the public side of the property, you're going to be dealing with city or county engineering.
Yeah.
And that's a completely different dynamic than working on the site. On the site work, you're working under the building permit, the plumbing permit even sometimes. So there's actually a difference between plumbing and, like you say, maybe sewer and water outside the building. Right?
From an owner's perspective, sewer's sewer. How could you screw that up?
Exactly right.
But what you're saying is it's two different trades.
Well, a lot of times.
And two different jurisdictions.
Yeah, I was going to say different agencies. Yeah. So the horizontal builder has to deal with like maybe the agency that provides water, the agency that provides power, the agency that provides sewer, and those could be maybe 4 or 5 different agencies, and then different inspectors for each of those too.
Right.
Whereas for the people going from the bottom up, how many agencies and inspectors is it?
It's your building
one
department.
agency.
Yeah.
Planning, building down at the city or the county, whatever.
Yeah. You might have a couple different inspectors, but they'd be a structural inspector and a mechanical inspector and a electrical inspector.
But it's all one agency.
Right. Yeah. Right. Under one permit too.
Sure.
Versus horizontal could be under separate permits for each agency.
Engineering and then the building permit. So the important thing that we'll talk about in another video will be how important it is to sequence those events between horizontal and vertical to make sure that we aren't what they call it, cutting your nose off to spite your face kind of thing.
Yeah, I've had my nose cut off many times by the contractor.
Yeah. Horizontal also kind of crosses that. There's on-site, horizontal, and then off-site, which is called in the public right-of-way, and that's a whole different.
Exactly right. And even our drawings will reflect that work that's done in the public right-of-way.
Yeah.
Will many times be called improvement drawings.
Public improvements.
Public improvement drawings, because we are improving the existing infrastructure. Everything from those underground utilities to the roadways themselves, signage, street lights, all of those components will be horizontal construction in the public right-of-way, sometimes called improvement drawings. On site, and many times those are a portion of the civil drawings, but they'll be like a subset. And then on site, we'll have civil that takes outside the building, and then plumbing and electrical inside the building.
There's that funny dividing line, that 5 feet outside the building is such a, a challenge.
So and I'm gonna bring my utilities within 5 feet. The plumber's going to come outside within 5 feet of the outside of the building. Who's going to make that connection or bring those last 2 or 3 feet together?
Most of the times it's kind of black and white, but I have definitely, if building in a fairly metro area, the public right of way is there's my property line, and then on the other side would be
Public.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes my property line, depending on what city I'm building in, is the edge of curb, which means that the sidewalk is on my property.
It's on your property.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to maintain it.
But I've got to build it per
For the city's
city's
yeah.
standards.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Right.
And that's all horizontal.
Right. And then in other jurisdictions, property line starts at the back side of the sidewalk, and the sidewalk and the parkway curb is all part of the city easement. So in the situation that you mentioned, it's not unusual for that sidewalk, and if there's a parkway, even though you're going to maintain it and it belongs to you, it still becomes part of a city easement, and it's kind of in your control, but not really.
They get to say what you do with
Yeah.
it, but you have to pay for it.
Yeah.
All right. Well, so that's a definition. That was to help you understand the difference between in all of our discussions when we talk about the vertical or the horizontal. That's what vertical and horizontal is. And look for our other video where we actually have a discussion about the sequencing, which is where I cry in that video.
Yeah.
You will see that.
What do you mean you cry? Are you crying louder than me or not?
No, we both will cry.
I will be crying.
You
sometime.
whine and he cries.
That's true. And he just cackles. This is the 3 gigs. This has been a definition, and like if you can, subscribe. And if you have any comments, send in some comments. Any ideas of topics you'd like us to touch on. That's it for now. Thanks.
Thanks for watching.
Bye.